do anything weird. Everybody will hear it. What am I talking about? You guys never do anything weird? Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna I'll move pretty quickly. You don't need to write down everything you see, but so we're gonna talk about real quickly are the three laws of heredity developed by a guy named Gregor Mendel. Excited about his work? You don't look excited. I'm gonna try to inspire you to understand and appreciate the work of this great religious monk figure from the 1700s. Good stuff. All right. 1800, 1700. Yeah, you don't need to write this down, but what we're going to try to do, so as you're listening and watching this is the thing. So we're trying to kind of look at what experiments he did. I think he was a gardener. That was his job. And he, I don't know, he's one of these people in history, you just wonder why they did what they did. I'm thankful that he did, but why he did it, you know, and he started keeping track of thousands of pea plant offspring and stuff and what ones were being bred together, and he had massive amounts of data from all this, and then he started looking at it, and and then we're going to try to, you know, apply this stuff to things like Punnett squares and trying to understand what can happen with offspring from two particular parents. So that's the gist of what we're doing. If you know, just what would I want you to know here again? Just a couple of things. This guy's name, what he was, when he was around, and he studied heredity. Right? That's his major contributions to the history of life on Earth here. Fascinating stuff too. Once he did this, you know, no one really, he published it, but again, at this time there was not, you know, like obviously the internet, and everybody couldn't immediately see what he was doing, and you know, so it kind of took a while. No one really started to look closely at what he did till well into the 1900s, early 1900s. His work started becoming kind of important and noticed by people. Yeah, I don't think you need to write this down, right? You know what traits are, yeah? So when we talk about traits, we're talking about, you know, characteristics like, again, Maddie's glorious hair there, and Josue's glorious red hair, and Rhodes' glorious red hair back there. Yeah, our 3 first period glorious, what do they call you guys? Gingers. Yeah. You like that term, Maddie? I don't know. All right. Here. Yeah, so then we call this genetics, right? Studying how traits are inherited from one generation to the next. We'll have that not go anywhere. Having some technological problems lately. Okay, and again, this is all stuff you should know. I mean, I don't think you need to write this down. So, you know, when he would see a trait show up and another one disappear, he came up with these names, dominant and recessive. And then in particular, the first kind of thing he was looking at was the height of the plants that he was breeding, these pea plants, and he realized that being tall was dominant to being short. Guess my parents didn't get that note and passed on these short genes to me. But so the rule, he called this the law or the rule of dominance. So you should have this already in your notes, but that's what it means. So he breed tall and short plants together. He noticed often, well, always, that the offspring were tall. So that's where he came up to realize that certain traits are dominant. So he called this the law of dominance. And then he looked at all kinds of stuff. Again, you don't need to write this down, but he studied all kinds of different traits and all these different things about pea plants. And he noticed the same pattern always showing up. There was something dominant and something recessive in all these different traits that he studied. Let's game up that. All right, law of segregation. This is kind of an important thing. So if you don't, or check and see what you wrote down for the law of segregation when you define this. You should have it defined in your notes. That's just what's in yellow here. Every individual has 2 alleles, for each gene. And when you produce gametes, sperm or egg cells, each gamete gets 1 of your alleles. So we talked about this yesterday. When you make, well, let's back up. So normal cells in your body, somatic cells, are they diploid or haploid? Lobster. I can't hear you still. You gotta yell. Diploid. Yes. Okay. They're diploid, right? It means you have 2 of every chromosome. You got them from your parents. But when you produce gametes, when you go through meiosis, remember your gametes are only going to get 1 of each of your pairs of chromosomes because gametes are haploid, right? And so again, Mendel didn't know all that stuff. He didn't have the knowledge of the details of DNA and like no one knew what, if you remember, we didn't really know what DNA was and did until the 1950s. But he figured all this out from just looking at what was going on with pea plants. So this is called the law of segregation, that your 2 alleles that you have for every gene are going to separate when you make sperm and egg cells. They're one of them's going to end up in one sperm or egg, the other one's going to end up in a different sperm or egg. So pretty straightforward stuff. Again, you hopefully are starting to have some idea what these terms mean, but we'll come back to those later. But the basic gist of what was you see here in this PowerPoint is the idea of a phenotype and a genotype. A phenotype is how something looks, tall. That's a phenotype. A genotype is what the 2 alleles are that the organism has for that trait. So like in these 2 tall plants, they each are what you'd call heterozygous. They have a dominant allele and a recessive one, but they're tall because tall is dominant. Okay, and he developed this other idea called the law of independent assortment, which is just, again, what's here in yellow, that genes for different traits are inherited independently of each other. Again, so look and see what you wrote down for the law of independent assortment. I'm going to go back to here real quickly. Here, so what he's saying, basically, what he saw from all of his breeding is that like the shape of a seed had no connection to the color of the seed. So like if the seed was round, it didn't have to be yellow. It could be round and green, or it could be round and yellow, or it could be wrinkled and yellow or wrinkled and green. They were independent of each other, the different traits. Same with all the rest of these. So if the flower color was purple, that doesn't mean the seed color had to be yellow or that it had to be round. Purple flowered plants could have green seeds and wrinkled, or green seeds and round, right? Get the idea? The traits are independent of each other. And it has to do with the fact that the traits are on, these genes for these traits are located on different chromosomes. So they can be, completely independent of each other. Okay, I'm going to show you one more thing. I think. Maybe. There he is, kind of handsome guy, isn't he? Lobster. Handsome guy for the 1860s. A monk working on, pea plants all his life. Where's the thing I want to show you? Shoot. All right, let me try one more. Oh, I know what it says. Okay, so I want to kind of show you this. So what everything we just talked about, I want to kind of show you with these chromosomes here that are on this, in this little picture. So imagine that this is, who's it going to be? It's going to be Collins. This is going to be you, man. All right. So Collins chromosomes now. So if we wanted to line them up in terms of their homologous pairs of chromosomes, we could do this, right? They don't have to be that way. But if we wanted to actually, I don't like that one. Let's find a different one. This one's better. All right, you're going to be pink, Collins. All right, so we're going to line Caleb's chromosomes up with each other. And so what you notice here is that on these chromosomes, this is the way chromosomes are. There are various genes along the chromosome, sections of DNA. So like on this big one, there's one, set of genes here that are designated by the letter R. It could be whatever, I don't know. And then on this one, there's a set of genes designated by the letter E, and then over here's W. But again, there would be thousands of genes on each of these chromosomes. We're just going to look at one particular gene on each chromosome. And again, what I wanted you to see is that, so this is Collins, right? And he's going to produce gametes, right? So he might, have a child someday. He's going to produce gametes. What's going to happen to these two chromosomes during meiosis? These two big ones, what's going to happen to them? What? Yeah, they're going to separate from each other, right? That's what meiosis does. It makes daughter cells which have half the chromosomes, haploid, right? Mendel called that the law of what? What do you call it when chromosomes separate from each other? Law of segregation. Yeah. So, all right. So that's going to happen. And then what's going to happen with these? They're going to split. Now, here's what I wanted you to understand, right? So I've got, over here is a gamete. Over here is a gamete, sperm cells. Where's this one that I'm shaking? Where's it going to go? To the left or right? Which sperm cells is it going to end up in? Amanda? Kind of a trick question. Pick one, Amanda. Left. All right, good. Does it have to go to the left? No, right? It's completely random, right? This is what he meant by the law of independent assortment. Like these don't have to end up in any particular sperm or egg cell with each other. Then when these ones split, right? Aiden Randall, where's this one going to go that I'm shaking, left or right? Yeah, could go either way, right? Could go there, could go there. It doesn't matter, right? Again, this is called the law of independent assortment, where those chromosomes end up going during meiosis is completely independent of the other ones, right? So, he might pass on this dominant allele to his child, and maybe then he'll pass on this recessive one. He doesn't have to pass all the dominant ones together. It's completely random, right? Got it? So here you go, right? Couple, again, sperm or egg cells there. Okay. All right, that's good. Fire up your computer real quick here.